Hello students, our today's topic is screen-based controls. So in earlier sessions we have discussed about device-based controls. So you had came across certain examples for device-based controls. Those examples were mouse, keyboard, joystick, trackball. So all those were device-based controls examples. So now let us discuss about screen-based controls. Screen-based controls are nothing but you might have came across certain buttons, some text entry fields, or combination entry selections you might have seen on the screen. Okay, that is on your computer. So these are called screen-based controls. So let us discuss it in detail. Screen-based controls. So let us understand the definition first. Screen-based controls, often simply called controls or widgets, are the elements of a screen that represent the properties or operations of other objects. Okay, so using this widgets or controls, you can control your system. Okay, or you can interact with the system. So a control may permit the entry or selection of a particular value. Okay, so you can enter any values on these particular controls, or you can select any value. For example, you might have given with the uh, text entry fields, so there you can enter the value, okay, any value, or you can, if there is a choosing option, any options are given, so for selection options, then you can choose. Maybe in case of dates, you might have given with the selection options like 1 2 3 up to 30 31 numbers. Okay, so you can select it. So either you can enter any value or you can select any value. So next we have, it is the control may permit changing or editing a particular value. Okay, you can either change or edit any value there, and also the control may display only a particular piece of text, value, or graphic. Okay, so a text, or you can say value, that means suppose if you have a button, okay, the button may consist of text. Above the button you may have a help button. If you consider help, will be displayed in text. Okay, or internally it is taking some value, as well as sometimes there will be a graphical representation to represent any buttons also. So that is how you are going to control the system. Next, the control may also be in the a command that has to be performed, and also it processes a contextual pop-up window also. Okay, so let us discuss this in detail. In this particular session we are going to deal about operable control, text control, selection control, custom control, presentation control, window tests, that are prototypes we have, then also we have kinds of tests. So these two topics will be covered actually in module 5, but here we have up to presentation control. The first topic here is under screen based control. It is an operable control. Operable controls are those that permit the entry, selection, changing or editing of a particular value, or cause a command to be performed. Okay, so operable controls are those which helps you to enter any particular value or select any value, or you can change or edit. Okay, so these are being performed in the operable controls. So in it mainly includes buttons. So what are buttons? It is how it will be displayed. It will be represented in a rectangular shape or a square shape. Okay, so a square or rectangular shaped control with label inside that indicates an action that has to be accomplished. So what are the types of button? You have command buttons. Okay, so you might have came across OK button or cancel, help, apply. So all these are command buttons we see. Next, you also came across toolbar buttons, okay, that are without labels. Okay, these buttons sometimes may be displayed without labels or the text itself. Okay, only graphical representation you may have observed. So those are toolbar buttons, and also you may have symbol buttons as well. So symbol buttons means in the suppose a window, if it is being displayed, you may have only a symbol like this to minimize the window, or to close the window you may have X button, X like structure, okay, within the button, or window, two windows may be displayed to maximize the button. So like this, the symbol button only just a representation of a symbol represents certain action there. So these are the three types of buttons you have. So let us understand what is a button, what is description of the button. A button is nothing but a square or rectangular shaped control with the label inside that indicates action to accomplish. The label may consist of text, graphics, or both. So you have a button that consists of a label, or the label in the sense it has text, or it may represent any graphics also, or it may consist of both text as well as graphics. So what is the purpose of the button? The purpose of button is to start an action, to change the properties, or to display a pop-up menu. Okay. And what are the advantages of button? Always these buttons are visible and it's remaining one of the available choices. So you might have came across accept button and cancel button, is it? So you may have two choices or three choices. So you can select any choices there. And also these buttons are also convenient to use. And these are logically organized in an work area. And the buttons can be provided in a meaningful descriptions for performing certain action. And larger sized are generally providing the faster selection target. Okay, so buttons, if you are providing in a larger size, then it may help you to access it in a faster manner. It can possess 3D appearance. So nowadays you have buttons with 3D appearance, and it's also adding an aesthetically pleasing style to the screen. So you may this is a normal kind of button, but nowadays you have 3D kind of appearance, because people may want aesthetically pleasing style of environment while using the screen. So a button outside, whatever he looks around the world, may be just transformed in the same manner in a 3D appearance on the screen. Okay, and it provides visual feedback through button movement when activated. Okay, so you just when you are going to click on this particular buttons, okay, it will give a visual feedback that it has been clicked, okay, or it has been pressed. So like that. So it also permits use of keyboard equivalents and accelerators. So keyboard equivalents means sometimes so if you are not able to use your mouse thing, that then you may have to go for keyboard equivalents, like see, for copy paste copying certain files, you can use keyboard equivalent, that is control C you may use. Okay, so to copy, just to copy, or you to paste, control V you may use. So that are keyboard equivalents. Suppose if you are not going to connect any mouse, then you will be using this kind of keyboard equivalents. Also it permits, okay, whenever you are when button is not there, or if it's not visible for you, you can also go for keyboard equivalents. And buttons also, it's faster than using two-step menu bar. So because see, whenever I say here a help, okay, help button you have, think that, okay, you can go in directly, going to click on the, you can click on this help button, or else you can go to the toolbar that is being presented on the screen, okay. And there also you can go, you will be having a help option there, or a help menu bar, is it? So instead of going for the toolbar and selecting the help button, sorry, help option, okay. So this will be very fast to access, okay, faster than going for two-step menu bar or pull down sequence. And next we have certain disadvantages also. It consumes screen space. The size limits the number that may be displayed, and it requires looking away from the main working area to activate, and also it requires moving the pointer to the selected area. What is the, let us understand about the proper usage of these buttons. It's used frequently when you are using certain actions more frequently, then you can go for using the buttons. Okay, so suppose if you are, if the action okay is being performed very frequently, then you can have a specific button to help the users to interact with the system, and also to cause something to happen immediately. So certain actions has to be performed immediately, then also you can go use this button. To display another window also it may be helpful, and also to display a menu of options, the buttons may be used. And to set a mode or property value also, any mode, okay, maybe hiding the sorry, view grid mode you may have, or hiding the grid mode. So like this, the modes also may be changing, so that also you can provide using buttons. Command button guidelines include the following. So let us understand about the command buttons. What is the usage of command buttons? There are two usages of command button. The first usage is for Windows with the menu bar. So for example, if you see here, there is an application and it has got certain menu or menu bar, you can say this. So here you have a menu bar, okay, and this is a menu you have got. Is it? For when you are going to click file, you get this particular menu. So here, if you are going to use to, it is used to provide fast access to frequently used or critical commands. So why this particular kind of command buttons are used? When you are having, if you want to have a fast access to frequently used commands, for example, exit, close, open, okay, print, like this. These are the commands or critical commands which are going to be used frequently by the user. So then you can go use this as a command buttons, okay. And next usage is, for example, this kind of command buttons are used for Windows without a menu bar. Sometimes you may not be provided with this kind of menu bars, okay. So then you have to still you have to have the command buttons. So how you can provide is, for example, you might have used this command frequently, okay. So you may have used a close button, is it? So close is actually a command which closes the particular file, is it? Similarly, open button, you open command also you have, but usually we use close command frequently. So this is the command we are going to use frequently. So this particular command button is being provided when you are not having a menu bar, okay. So that is a second usage. So one usage of command button is when you are it will be provided along with the menu bar, okay, command button. And also it may be, if you are not having a menu bar, then it's also provided in this manner. Okay. And next is what is the structure? It's provide a rectangular shape with the label inscribed within it. Okay, so suppose it, if you want to have a command button, then you can have a label also inside the command button. And next is give the button a raised appearance. So usually these kind of command buttons can be presented as a which has to be visualized by the user. So that's why we can give a raised appearance for the particular command buttons. And maintain consistency in style throughout an application. So that means consistency has to be maintained every time. So whenever you open the application, again if you close it, and again if you want to, suppose after some time, again if you want to open the application, there should be consistency maintained in the command button. It should not change its location, is it? And next is size. Provide as large as a button is as feasible. Okay, a large button can be provided. Maintain a consistent button heights and width. So you cannot have a very big sized button, because the size, sometimes the size of the screen may be very less. So then you have to have a proper size has to be maintained when you are providing such command buttons. And exceptions are there. Buttons can containing excessively long labels may be wider. Okay, sometimes the buttons may have long labels, so that time the buttons also will be in lengthy size. Labels. Use standard button labels when available. So a button label should be clearly spelled out with meaningful description of action. For example, you have here OK, OK button, is it? And also cancel button. And here it's the label O and K, it's a label you have, is it? So similarly, cancel is the label that is being written on the current button, is it? So it provides meaningful description of the action that will be performed. Okay, so OK, clicking OK, what happens? Your format, you have an example here. It's to asking whether you want to format the local disk. Okay, you can click either OK or cancel button. So if you click OK, it will perform certain action, that it will clear the format or it will clear the disk, or it format the disk, is it? So next you have use single word labels whenever possible. So don't go for multiple words. Instead of that, you can always use single words. Okay, like this: OK, cancel, reset, apply, or close, help, like this. Okay, so you can have a single worded labels on it. Uh, Only if it is necessary, then you can go for 2 to 3 words. Okay, for clarity. So use mixed case letters with first letter of each significant label word capitalized. So if you are having a mixed case letters, that means suppose the words are more, 2, 3 words if you are having, then you have to capitalize each of the letter. The first letter has to be capitalized. And display labels in regular system format and also in same size font. Okay, so if you are seeing here, OK and cancel buttons you have, it has maintained the same size. Is it? Same size. Font size is same. And also the system, regular system font you have to maintain. Don't go for any italic kind of alphabets. Okay, you should have a regular font size as well as style. Do not number the labels. Don't go for numbering the labels. Center the label with button borders. So you should have a button borders for the labels, leaving at least 2 pixels between the text and the button border. So if you see here, it's more than 2 pixel, but in this case you can say that it can have it's at least 2 pixels um, between the text and the uh, button border. So you have to maintain you have a button border, and it from the button border it has to have a space of at least 2 pixel size, and then provide the consistency in button labeling across all the screens. So consistency has to be maintained in all the screens when you are having the button labelings. And some of the examples I will tell you where you are having labels of this kind. You have OK button. Sometimes you'll be having apply button. Okay. Reset buttons you will be having. Sometimes cancel buttons also, and help buttons. Okay. So these are the common examples for buttons with labels. And next, number. Restrict the number of buttons on the window to 6 or fewer. Okay, in one particular window. So suppose if you are opening a window, for example, this is a particular window that you have opened. Then inside the window you should have it uh, fewer buttons. Okay, restrict the button number of buttons. Okay, 6 or fewer number of buttons can be allowed, not more than that, because it will be confusing for the user. And next is expansion buttons. Expansion buttons, uh, you have that you have to gray out them after expansion. So sometimes expansion buttons will be used in the applications. Suppose if you click on that expansion buttons, immediately after expanding it will gray out that particular button. Means graying out means it will be in an inactive state. Hmm? Uh, then provide a contraction button if necessary. So along with this you can provide contraction button also. Locate it beneath or right of the expansion button. So along with the expansion button you can also provide contraction buttons also. Uh, Gray it out when not applicable. So this contraction button also has to be grayed out when it is not applicable. Uh, gray this particular button when the dialog is contracted, and display at normal intensity when the dialog is expanded. Location and layout of the buttons. Maintain consistency in button location between windows. Next, never simply fit buttons in available space. So whenever it's necessary, then only have the buttons on the screen. So that's why you have to never simply fit the buttons in available space. That means see here, for example, if suppose uh, the OK button is being placed here, but you have a space and more space you can see here, is it? So what you sometimes what the user designers do, they may user interface designers, they may just extend this. Okay, that is not right way of designing, because even if the space is available, keep it short. Okay, the buttons should be very short and it should uh, fit into the window. Okay, if buttons are of exiting the dialog, position them centered and align horizontally at the bottom. So here in this particular example you can see that the it's an exiting button. Okay, OK is an exiting button. So think that the dialog box is being created here, or it's being displayed, and here whenever if you click OK, it may exit that particular window. Okay, so that's why it's called the exiting buttons. Okay, OK as well as cancel. So that's why these kind of buttons has to be placed in the center. It should be aligned center and in a horizontal manner at the bottom. Okay, if the buttons are used for invoking a dialog feature or expanding the dialog, Okay, so that means here if you can see here some of the additional features you have. These are the invoking features. Okay, you may be adding a printer, or you want to connect to a network, or you want to configure your system. Okay, that time these are the features. Okay, invoking features you may have. So these kind of features has to be presented on the screen, that is to the right side of the screen. So position them centered and also aligned vertically on right side of the screen. So exiting buttons has to be placed centrally, and invoking or expanding features or expanding the features has to be kept at the right side of the screen. So this is one way. If suppose you don't have space, think that you don't have space here, then what you can do is the invoking features has to be represented. I'll tell you where you have to represent that. If suppose this is not there, then that means here you have spacing that. Okay, then exiting buttons, whatever you have now here, it has to be shifted to the right position, and this feature whatever you have written here, it can be presented here, and you can place it in a horizontal manner. Okay, the same invoking feature can be placed here, and you have to just shift the exiting buttons to the right portion. Okay, that is one way. Another way is another way of representing the same buttons are, suppose you don't want to keep it exiting buttons here, then what you can do is you can just shift these exiting buttons to the right side of the screen, and you can align all the buttons at the right portion of the screen, and you can keep the invoking features above in this portion itself, in the top portion of the uh, or top right corner of the window. So that is another way of representing the same buttons. If a button has a contingent relationship with another control, position it as adjacent to the related control. For example, here there is some window which is showing certain grocery items, and you need to select it. Okay, here there is a button, select all button. Okay, corresponding to that you have got a list of grocery items. Okay, so this button, select all button, has got a contingent relationship uh, with the items that is presented here. So what you have to do, you have to place so position it adjacent to the related control. So that means you have a button here, select all button, you have to place another um, option, whatever you want to represent, adjacent to it. Okay, so this is very adjacent to it, it's being kept right side of the button, that is select all button. So suppose the button has a contingent relationship to a control, then you can keep it in this manner. Okay, if a button has a contingent relationship to a group of controls, then position it at the bottom or right of related controls. For example, another example you can take, suppose if you want to enter address of a person. Okay, and also you want to show the billing items, or something like uh, the particular bill has to be produced, that of a customer, then you can have a page with buttons, different buttons. So that time you can group that entries, and below the all the entries you can have a button like invoice address. Okay, so that example is being given in your textbook. Invoice address is a bottom button, that and some other buttons also can be kept above that button, but there is now here you have grouping. Okay, there is a common group, that means address is being corresponding to a particular customer, so we are going to group it to a single group. Okay, whatever the street name or his name, or which state he is, everything is being grouped into a single control. Okay, so everything, whatever you have filled inside that particular entry fields, okay, you can control it with a single button. At last you may have submit button or apply button, anything, but it controls the complete set of information whatever you have filled. So position it, always position such things at the bottom or right of the related controls. Okay, you may press apply or OK button. So all these kind will be having a contingent, so that when you are going to click on that particular button, it will have a certain relationship with the fields whatever you have entered. If due to the space constraints, exiting and expanding or invoking feature buttons must be placed together. In that case, if there is space constraints, then what you have to do is, as I said, you have to place the exiting buttons at the right portion in this manner, or you can bring out the same invoking feature to the left corner, that is this side, and you can shift this exiting button to the right side. Okay, so it's 2 points you have to remember here. For exiting and expanding invoking feature buttons do not align with other screen controls. Okay, represent displayed within a line boundary. So everything, whatever invoking features, for example, here you have invoking feature or expanding features. This feature has to be presented within the boundary again. Okay, it should have a line boundary. And align with the, you can align them with, do not align them with the other screen controls like this. Okay, you cannot align them with in this manner. Okay, you have to display it on the right portion of the screen. Provide equal and adequate spacing between adjacent buttons. Organization. Uh, Organize the standard buttons in a manner recommended by the platform being used. So you might be working with different platforms, so there will be different standard buttons. Okay, so if you are see your platform maybe is, sometimes you'll be working with your PC or your mobiles, okay, or your tablet. There are different platforms that is being used, but there will be standard buttons that are being used there. So organize the standard buttons in a manner recommended by the platform that is being used. For other buttons, organize them in common and customary grouping schemes. For buttons ordered left to right, place those for most frequent actions to the left. Okay. So for if you have placed, for example, I say here, you have certain buttons. If you are having on the screen, if you are working on the screen, okay, some buttons will be placed left and some buttons are to the right. Okay, so which button you are going to access every time? So that usually leftmost buttons will be used, accessed more time, is it many times. So this is how you have to organize. Okay, the most frequent actions has to be kept to the left of the window. Similarly, for buttons ordered top to bottom, place the most frequent, so suppose we are working from top to bottom way, okay, top top to bottom, then you have to place the most frequent actions has to be placed at the top of the screen. Okay, so this is how you have to organize the buttons. So remember that usually the leftmost corner of your window will be having the most frequently used actions. Keep related buttons grouped together. Related buttons, for example, you have paste button or copy button. uh, okay, so all these cut button, so all these buttons are placed together. Why? Because they are related buttons. Separate the potentially destructive buttons from frequently chosen selections. Sometimes you will be having destructive buttons. What are destructive buttons? Exiting from the, for example, you have a close button. Is it? It's like a destructive button itself, or exit button. So this has to be always separated from the frequently chosen selections. Frequently used buttons will be always in the left top left corner of the screen, and destructive buttons usually will be kept at the right portion of the screen. So that is destructive buttons has to be always kept kept away from the frequently chosen buttons. And buttons found on more than one window should be consistently positioned. Um, then so consistency has to be maintained in these buttons as well while organizing the buttons. Okay, and next is order should never change. So order whatever you have maintained, maybe you have once you have kept the in the menus, for example, you will be having some buttons also. In that case, there also you should maintain the order. The order whatever you have maintained should not be changed. Okay, maybe you have followed a alphabetical order or a general order or any other ordering. Okay, it should not change, because it will confuse the users again if you are going to change the order. For mutually exclusive actions, use two buttons. Do not dynamically change the text. Mutually exclusive actions, sometimes, like for example, you have hide grid. For example, hide grid button, you have think that. Okay, hiding. Okay, another action is hiding the grid and viewing the grid. Okay, two actions you have. What you have to do, you have to keep these two buttons separately. Okay, separately. That means with some space you can keep here, but uh, you should not keep it as a one single button that dynamically changes the text. Hide and view, hide grid and view grid. If you have kept it in a single button, that may be confusing to the user. So that's why you have to keep such buttons that is with exclusive. This is an example. Some other buttons also can have with the same kind of actions. That is exclusive actions. Okay, mutually exclusive actions use two buttons. Okay, so that it may be useful for the new users. Then next you have unavailable choices. Temporarily unavailable choices should be dimmed or grayed out. Okay, so if you are not going to use the particular choices frequently, then you have to dim it or gray out the particular actions. Our next button is default button. So when a window is first displayed, provide a default action if practical. Okay, so automatically when a window is being displayed, you can provide a default button if you want to actually place it on the screen. So for example, here there is a system setting window, and you have been given an option to choose any of the uh, options like local, Google Drive, Dropbox. Okay, you can select or deselect, and at last it's asking you for saving the particular actions whatever you have done. Also, there is certain default actions you can have. Okay, maybe certain options may be chosen in case of default actions. Okay, not all. Okay, so that is default thing you'll be having in the system settings. How to have this? A default should be most likely an action. Okay, again this default is an action that is being performed automatically by the system. Okay, to occur default action, again you have to press the button, that is restore default or reset default, reset to default. So like this, some buttons will be placed. It's like a confirmation. So before going for restoring defaults or defaults, you have to confirm. An application of activity has to be performed, and a positive action such as OK, unless the result is catastrophic. So you have to understand whether you have to really go for default action. Okay, so you have to confirm it, and also you have to give a positive action such as OK. If a destructive action is performed, the default should be cancelled. So if there is a destructive action, then I have to cancel the particular default um, action what you have performed. And next is presentation. Indicate the default action by displaying the button with bold or double borders. What is the procedure? The default can be changed as the user interacts with the window, and also when the user navigates to a button with temporary it navigates to a button, it can temporarily become a default. Okay, you can use enter key to activate the default button. So either you can click the default button using your mouse, or you can activate it by using the keyboard as well. So if another control requires use of enter key, temporarily disable the default while the focus is on other control. Okay. Uh, Next, then permit double clicking on single selection control in a window to carry out the default command. So you can perform this action, that is restoring default or going for default actions, can be performed by just double clicking the button. Okay, default button. So these are the procedure how you can go. You can enter the default settings or default options in your window that's being displayed. So next is scrolling. If a window can be scrolled, do not scroll the command buttons. Exception you have if the screen cannot scroll independently of the button. So you can provide in the screen, you can provide a scrolling button. Okay, window can be scrolled. Okay, that is one option you have. Use the buttons to move between multiple page forms. Um, Label the buttons next and previous. So you can have scrolling button to move the pages, multiple pages, or you can use next or previous button just to instead of scrolling the entire window, you can use the other option, alternative option to scroll the pages, that is next and previous buttons are also present. For example, if you are going for Adobe applications to move the PDF pages, you might have used next and previous buttons for scrolling purpose. Okay, that is, it moves the pages from 1 to certain numbers. Okay, next pages you can go, or previous pages, so you can go. Next we have intent indicators. So you might have observed intent indicators in many applications, like you might have used in Word, Excel, or PPT while doing PPT also. So anytime you might have observed this kind of intent indicators like this. Okay, a menu with certain triangle like structure. Is it? So when a button causes an action to be immediately performed, no intent indicator is necessary. So if you want an action to be performed immediately, like OK button, reset, or cancel button, um, apply button, so all these are immediate actions that has to be performed by the system. So then you don't give an indicator here. Okay, what is the next action that has to perform? This action is very important to us, so that's why we don't represent any indicators there. The next indicators. Okay, so no intent indicators is necessary in this case. But when it's necessary, see here, when a button leads to cascading dialog, so you have here open, and then you have dots.
Okay, so this is the meaning that it is opening up a dialog box, cascading dialog box. Okay, so that's why we have placed this. So this is an indicator. Next we have when a button leads to a menu. For example, this is a menu and then you have a arrow mark. Okay, then again a menu list of menu will be displayed. You will be getting a automatically when you click on this particular button, you will be getting a list, menu list. Okay, so this is another action that is being performed. Click on this and you'll be getting this. So when a button leads to a menu, include a triangle pointing in the direction the menu will be appear after the label. Okay, after this label, the menu will be appear. When a button leads to expanding dialog, include the double arrow mark. Okay, another kind of indent indicator you have, that is double arrow mark. Okay, along with the label. So it is giving a expanding dialog box. Next, when button has a contingent relationship to the another control, that must be indicated with the single arrow point. Okay, some other box or a or an option you might have here. Okay, something, some other option or radio buttons might be placed and you have a labels here. In that case, okay, you will be provided with so this clear action is going to control this, is it? Maybe it's clearing all the options whatever you have chosen. So then when a button has a contingent relationship to another control, so this is one control and this another control you have here. Okay, so there is a relationship within other control, then you have to indicate it by single arrow mark pointing at the control. Keyboard equivalents and accelerators. Keyboard equivalents. So assign a keyboard equivalent mnemonic to each of the button to facilitate keyboard selection. So whenever, if you are not using the mouse or any other devices, pointing devices, then you have to use only keyboard to interact with the system. So then you have to use keyboard mnemonics. So what are mnemonics? For example, here you have apply button. So mnemonic here is A. A is the letter used to interact with the system. Okay, so that is how we are saying here it is a keyboard equivalent mnemonic, and the mnemonic should be first letter of the button's label. If duplication exists in first letter, for duplicate items use another character in the label. For example, sometimes you have another label that is placed here. Think that. Okay, that's also starting with A itself. And you may be thinking, both, if I select both first letters, then you'll be in confusing state. Which letter to select now for keyboard equivalent? So then what you have to do, you have to go for the next character. Okay. So preferably choose the first succeeding consonant. Okay, next consonant you can choose. After A, suppose you have duplicates. Now I say what I am saying here is, suppose you have another label. Okay, that's also starting with letter A. Okay, now which this is already a mnemonic for, is it, that is being selected for a keyboard equivalent. That is mnemonic, is it? Huh? So now again, can you choose this? No, you have to select one more letter. The succeeding letter can be chosen there as a mnemonic. Designate the mnemonic character by underlining it. So here always remember that you have to underline the mnemonic whatever you have used. Maintain the same mnemonic on all identical buttons on other screen. So you have to maintain, there should be consistency. Again, maintain, uh, that is same mnemonic has to be selected on the other screens as well. Accelerators. assign a keyboard accelerator to each of the button to facilitate keyboard selection. So these accelerators can be, for example, Control C. Control is a button, one button, and Control C, it copies the particular file or text, something it does, is it? So it's an keyboard accelerator now. Or copy Control V, it's also a keyboard accelerator. So that also can be used. Accelerators also can be used instead of having the button. And next you have button activation, pointing and activation. So how do you activate? For example, as soon as you place the pointer, your cursor on the button, it will be showing an active state. Okay, so what you have to do, how to show that? Uh, Highlight the button in some visually distinctive manner when the pointer is resting on it and button is available for the selection. So you might have observed that whenever you are going to place any uh, cursor, on a pointer on the screen on a particular button, it will be highlighted with certain color, is it? So activation, call the attention to the button in another visually distinctive manner when it has been activated or pressed. If a button can be pressed continuously, permit the user to hold the mouse button down and repeat the action. So sometimes you might have observed this, you might have to hold down the button continuously to activate the particular action. Okay, sometimes what you do, you just double click, a double click action will be you will be doing just to activate it. Sometimes you have to continuously keep on pressing, that means scrolling button if you are saying. Okay, how do you activate it? You just continuously go on pressing the button, and